How are you? It's a question we ask all the time, and often we get the answer, fine, thanks. Or sometimes, if we're talking to somebody we know really well, they may say, do you want the short answer or the long answer? And I think a lot of us, when we get a diagnosis of, shall we say, a life-limiting illness, we don't actually know how we are. We are out of control. And I thought I would start this afternoon by just telling you a little bit about my own reaction to this diagnosis. It may trigger some response from you, and then when I've finished, and I won't talk for long, I've got some questions that I'm going to give to each table, and I hope you are being very good bunnies and sitting either as carers or patients, because if you're not, I'll get you to move. And these are questions as a basis for discussion, no more. I'll say more about them in a minute. I got my diagnosis sort of sideways, because I had my tumour removed. Oh, it's a big tumour, but it's benign. We'll send it to the Marsden. Well, I'm not stupid. And if something gets sent to the Marsden, it tells me, I don't think this is benign. Anyway, the results came back, something I'd never heard of, lots of mumbo-jumbo I couldn't understand, and they wouldn't let me read the report anyway. So I went home and I got on with my life. I got recovered from the surgery, learnt to eat again, and about 2 months later, I went to a meeting. It was a weekend workshop that David and I went to because we used to work supporting couples in their relationships. And we had all sorts of workshops and training events over the course of the weekend. And the first workshop, we were separated, husbands and wives, and in each little group, we were asked to draw how we thought other people saw us. That's what I drew. I'm no artist. I'm there with a zip down my middle, and I'm okay. Then we were asked to draw how we really felt. And that's what I drew. And as you can see, it's actually very different. The zip's much bigger, and I'm crying. And drawing that picture triggered me. And David and I spent the rest of the day with me crying and him listening. I thought, actually, I was okay. But it was doing that drawing that made me realize that actually I wasn't. And that was quite a shock. Up to that point, I'd been in control. I'd made sure my will was okay. I'd cashed my old age pension instead of having it deferred. I thought, well, blow it, if I've only got 2 years to live, I'm getting as much pension as I can out of the government. That was the practical stuff. In a sense, that was the easy bit. Then I had to come to terms with what this diagnosis really meant for me. And that's what that day's crying started off for me. At the same time, I was training to be a counsellor. So I thought, yes, I'm self-aware, I'm all this. And my supervisor said, of course you need specialist counselling. Go and see my friend, who happened to work as a counsellor at the Marsden. And she was very, very helpful. I was able to talk to her. I was able to share my coming to terms with the loss of my dreams. Would I ever see my grandchildren grow up? Would I ever be a great granny? Probably not. What was our future together going to be, David and me? Were we going to be able to have all those exciting retirement holidays we dreamed of? It was tough. But I saw Judy, her name was, funnily enough, for about 8 sessions, and then we agreed I really was okay now. And we agreed that I didn't need her support anymore, and I remember saying to her, what happens if I get a relapse? Well, she said, well, you can come back. Time went by, years went by, I got down to annual scans, and I did get a relapse. I completely fell apart. I'd thought my self-awareness, my counselling training, my network of friends, my knowledge, which I now had, because I'd got involved in all sorts of things in the meantime, Macmillan and NICE and the local research committee, all sorts of things. I thought, I'm okay. Well, I wasn't. When I got my relapse, I fell apart. Not quite as badly as I had like this, but I found I could not do all the things I'd taken on. I had to give it all up, and the only thing I kept doing was this, Just Support UK, because this group now gave me the support that I needed. Does that make sense? And I then had my imatinib treatment, my surgery, and I've recovered. I've had a new hip, I'm getting deaf, I'm just getting old. How would I react if it came back again? I honestly don't know. I don't think any of us knows how we react until we're in that situation. Now, I'm not going to say much more at this stage because I want you to spend some time sharing with each other your experiences, and I've got a set of questions for patients and carers, and they're not quite the same, so we'll give these out. They're only a basis for discussion. If your table decides you don't want to talk about any of this stuff, you want to talk about something else, that's fine. The only question I would like you to have a look at is the last one, which is, have you got any suggestions or questions for the clinical nurse specialists who are going to take the next session this afternoon? 2 lovely ladies here who are going to be doing the session after this. The only other thing I want to say before I get you going, there's a bit of paper on each table with a marker you can scribble on if you want to. Nobody has to do this. If you don't want to be part of this discussion, that's fine. You can go and sit outside, have a cup of tea or whatever. That's entirely up to you. Is that okay?